Hello all, and welcome to Explained with Dylan. I apologize for having not uploaded these past couple of weeks. I've been really busy, especially Friday nights. That's probably my busiest night of the week. And then I finally get home around 8, eat dinner, and then head outside because it's beautiful outside. And then it's only the next day when I'm outside that it finally occurs to me, oh crap, I forgot about the Explained with Dylan video I was supposed to film. Because I have just been so busy, it doesn't even cross my mind. But today, it's not so great outside, so I figured I had time to film a video. And I'm sure you want to hear all about my schedule and all about the weather outside right now. But, getting to the point, this really cool YouTuber, Sports with Dylan, I bet you've heard of him. But if you haven't, you should totally go check out his channel. Made a video the other day talking about the LIV Golf League merging into the PGA, the Saudi Arabian Golf League. So I figured, wouldn't it be an interesting video subject to talk about Saudi Arabia and their plans for the future without oil? Currently, the Middle East as a whole, specifically the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, amongst a couple other countries, Oman, Kuwait, a couple other guys, are very, very rich because of all the oil they have. And they sell that oil, and they make millions upon millions, in fact, billions of dollars on that oil. And some people get very, very, very rich because of it. But that could very well change pretty darn soon. Because we are phasing out of oil. We're trying to find cleaner alternatives for energy. And we're using electric cars, which I do not exactly love, although they are better than gasoline cars. You know, I should make a video about electric cars, because I've mentioned like 4 straight videos that I don't love electric cars, but I've never explained why. Anyways, we're moving away from oil and natural gas and all fossil fuels, because they're awful for the environment. I'm sure you all know this stuff. And that could pose to be quite the problem, obviously, for those countries that make so much money off of oil. Those guys that have gotten so used to being millionaires or even billionaires because of how much money they're making off of their oil and natural gas and coal and all the other fossil fuels. But these people are not idiots. They know that they have to do something, or else they are not going to be very well off in a couple years down the road because people are moving away from oil. So they have to come up with a plan. And so far, everyone's plan is really just to copy Dubai. So what exactly did Dubai do? Dubai, 100 years ago, was a little-known fishing town on the Persian Gulf. It started to grow because it was a good place for fishing, apparently, but also it was a strategic port along the Persian Gulf. So countries like Iran, Iraq, and Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia, as well as Qatar and Bahrain, would all have to go past Dubai, and it's pretty close to the point, even though it's not quite there. So they'd normally stop at Dubai, refuel, and then head over to India or wherever in Asia they needed to be. But Dubai had an idea, specifically the ruler of Dubai at the time. He was going to invest in the city. Now, this was before they even knew there was oil in the area. But he figured that they could make Dubai into something more, because it was quite an economic city. It was becoming more and more of one. So why not modernize it? Because it was having some social issues. It was still quite a poor city. So they decided to start investing in the city itself. Even though they're making millions of dollars from all their ports, then they decided to take out multiple loans and invest even more into the city. They made more ports. They invested into the city itself, adding public transportation. And they introduced more and more companies to that area. And they were convincing more and more companies to come because it was a good location and it was starting to become quite the economic hub. So then they kept going. And then they found oil. That was the groundbreaker. It wasn't much at the time, but slowly they found more and more oil. It wasn't exactly in Dubai, it was outside of Dubai. But they got money from oil. But instead of just spending all that money right away, they did the smart thing and actually invested that money into the city again and again and again, and really started to build it up into what we know as Dubai today. Now as a hub, it has plenty of amenities. It's known for being great for the uber wealthy, and it's apparently quite a nice city. I've never been there. Another reason that they have made so much money, obviously, is cheap labor. They do not have minimum wage laws the same way we do over there. And they don't have the best working conditions either. So they bring in plenty of immigrants from South Asian countries such as India, Pakistan, that whole area. And they pay them as little as possible, put them in terrible working conditions to build up their city. Which, don't get me wrong, is an awful thing. But it does help economically. Now, they are changing that. They have introduced higher wages for all workers, even though they're still not up to standard with North America or Western Europe. It's getting better, and the conditions are also improving, because people around the world are noticing. But, even still, it's not the best place behind the scenes. But, overall, Dubai has been making plenty and plenty of money. Another advantage Dubai has, and I could make, honestly, this whole video just about Dubai's advantages, but transport. They have, according to some sites, the busiest airport in the world. And if not the busiest, every site I could find it had it in the top 5. It is one big airport. It's an easy way to stop from Europe all the way to get to the rest of Asia. It is a great place, and they have built up that airport quite a bit, which makes them even more of a transport hub as well. And they still have the strategic location, so they're still making a lot of money from shipping as well. Which means Dubai has done pretty darn well for themselves. Abu Dhabi, a city slightly north in the UAE, United Arab Emirates, basically followed the model of Dubai. They had more oil money earlier. They were always a more well-known town because they were the capital of the United Arab Emirates, and they were fairly wealthy already. But they decided to also build that up quite a bit and become more well-known. And they've basically become a second Dubai slightly north of it. They're slightly more strict religiously. And Dubai has done well on that front. Because obviously that area of the world is quite religious. But Dubai has relaxed all the regulations quite a bit. Which means that anyone can easily go there and not get in trouble for any laws. Honestly, their laws have been made quite similar to laws in Western Europe and North America. It's a couple of things you need to look at, but overall, it's not that bad. It's the same thing as traveling to most of Asia, so you don't need to be worried about getting arrested because you're a woman out on your own, or any of those religious or laws overall in the Middle East that are generally standard around that area. So I think you get my point by now. Dubai has done well for themselves. They are trying to become the most Western city in the Middle East. And I think they've done a pretty darn good job of that. In fact, they are very unique, and you will not find a city exactly like Dubai around the world. Many cities are trying and will continue to try to copy Dubai, but in all honesty, I'll say this right now, I do not think anyone will ever reach quite the height that Dubai has reached, because no one can just take what Dubai has all done, and Dubai just keeps going. They do not stop. They haven't stopped going straight up, so even if you were to start down here, you would never catch up to Dubai. So that ties us all back into Saudi Arabia's plan, which is to introduce more tourism to the area. Specifically, the Western tourism, the people that are gonna come there and vacation for a week or two. They're just gonna stay because it's warm, it's nice out, parts of it are on the ocean, and I'm sure it can be quite a nice place in that area. If you're on the beach, you could be on the ocean. It's the same thing as going down south, like to Mexico, around here, although it's a slightly further flight for someone living in North America, but for the Europeans, it's a better deal than going to, say, Jamaica, or Anguilla, don't know why that's the second thing that hopped into my head, or Barbados, and now I'm just going in alphabetical order here. But, you see my point. They can introduce tourism. So that's what they have been trying to do more and more. As I've mentioned in the Sports with Dylan video, they introduced the LIV Golf League, which they brought in some of the best golfers in the world, so people could go to Saudi Arabia and watch some good golf. Another example would be the fact that a Saudi Arabian soccer team is now paying Cristiano Ronaldo a buttload of money to play for them. So that makes the sport of soccer more interesting there, because Cristiano Ronaldo is going to draw more fans. People want to watch superstar players. Saudi Arabia is definitely using the money it currently has to its advantage to build up for the future. They're trying to make it as touristy as possible by bringing in people that other people want to see, athletes in specific, but there's other people. They've hosted more and more concerts there of very famous musicians that would not have happened 10 years ago. But now these musicians are coming in and they're getting tens of thousands of fans coming to watch them, even if they're not from Saudi Arabia, just because they want to see that specific musician. So all in all, Saudi Arabia is starting to look quite a bit better for themselves. I'm sorry guys, but I am going to have to cap off this video here, because it's getting a bit on the long side, especially for an Explain with Dylan video. But stay tuned for part 2, which will be coming out tonight. Don't worry, you won't have to wait another week for it. This is my apology gift to you guys for missing 3 weeks straight.